Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. It's been too long, once again, since I've done a virtual concert, so thanks for joining me. Given that yesterday was the 250th anniversary of the United States, of course, this evening's concert will be patriotic-themed music. I'm calling it the Red, White, and Blue Ragtime Revue. A review was like a vaudeville show with multiple acts, although all you're going to get tonight is me. I'm afraid you have to put up with me. But thanks for joining me. I'm going to start out by playing a couple of the early ragtime pieces, which were called cakewalks, that I know John Philip Sousa's band played. John Philip Sousa, the leader of the U.S. Marine Band, loved ragtime. Here's one from 1897 called At a Georgia Camp Meeting. Thank you so much, everybody. At a Georgia Camp Meeting. Well, that piece was written by a man named Kerry Mills. His most famous compositions were probably Meet Me in St. Louis and Red Wing. But here's another one of the cakewalks that he wrote, this one from 1899. And I know that it was a favorite of John Philip Sousa's band, so I think it's appropriate to play tonight. It's called Whistlin' Rufus. Here we go. Whistlin' Rufus from 1899. Councilman Rufus. Thank you very much, folks. Of course, I'll be happy to take requests tonight. I imagine I'll get requests for Sousa's music and that of George M. Cohan. Of course, I'm going to play some of their music. The Cohan music will be at the very end of the program. That's going to be the grand finale. But speaking of Sousa, here is a pretty waltz from my repertoire that he recorded, I think about 1905. It was written in France in the year 1900, and I played this when I was over in Paris. I bet not many people have, but it was a very popular piece at the turn of the century for bands and salon orchestras and that kind of thing. It's not ragtime, really. This is called Amoureuse. Of course, I can't pronounce it correctly. Amoureuse, that's as close as I could come. So a pretty waltz now, a French waltz, but recorded by Sousa's band. Thank you very much, Amoureuse. Yes, I see my friend from France is listening already tonight. Well, thank goodness the stream is working. I think the only reason we had trouble a few weeks ago was because they were working on the fiber optic internet lines here in Durango. Oh, I see Marilyn and Bill have joined me. Thanks as always here on Facebook. and Bill Huffman. He's always traveling somewhere. Bill's in Brockport, New York tonight. No kidding. And a few people on Twitch. Not a whole lot, but thanks so much for joining me on the 5th of July for the Red, White, and Blue Ragtime Revue. And if you enjoy the music, I do accept virtual tips for these performances. All you have to do is send in a tip on PayPal or Venmo, and every little bit helps me make a career out of this music that's 125 years old, or more in some cases. And the tip information is in the chat and the postings on all three websites. I appreciate it. And I also want to give a shout out to Dave Goodlaxon. I see Dave's listening on YouTube. He was here about 2 weeks ago and tuned my piano for me. It sounds beautiful. It's much better. He and Virginia have been coming out to Colorado every summer on vacation, which is wonderful to me. And he gives me the gift of a piano tuning. It's really been very special. So thanks for listening tonight, folks. Send in the requests. Go ahead and do it right now. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat. In fact, let me turn the computer just a tiny bit more so I can see the chat. That's a little better. Before too much more time goes by, I think now would be an appropriate time to play a patriotic piece once again. Not only played by John Philip Sousa's band, but written by Sousa himself in 1897, coincidentally the same year that the first instrumental rags were published. Here's my version of Stars and Stripes Forever, complete with the piccolo part, and on the third time through the trio, I'll play it in ragtime. Stars and Stripes forever. Thank you very much, folks. I'm reading the comments here. Happy 250. That's right. It's a special occasion. That will only happen once in our lifetime. Oh, I see tips right here in the chat. Thank you for doing that on YouTube. Much appreciated. No, I'm not. I didn't save Stars and Stripes for the finale. That's going to be the George M. Cohan music. Looks like I've got 30 listeners on Facebook. That's a lot better than it was 2 weeks ago. Well, send in some requests, folks. Don't be shy. I do have things on my list here that I can play for you. 145 on YouTube. We're climbing. That's not bad. I guess I better keep playing. Of course, I did already mention George M. Cohan. Cohan was the only songwriter that was ever given a Congressional Gold Medal. Technically, it wasn't a Congressional Medal of Honor. It was a Congressional Gold Medal given to him by Franklin Roosevelt in 1940, specifically for writing two tunes, You're a Grand Old Flag and Over There, the hit of World War I. But I don't think many people realize, of course, Cohan was a major writer of the ragtime era. I was just reading the other day that he wrote all by himself something like 36 Broadway shows, which is incredible. And but he also wrote ragtime piano pieces, at least 2 instrumental rags that I'm aware of. And this was the most popular one, ironically called Popularity by George M. Cohan, one of his real piano rags of 1906. much, folks. Oh yes, I'll play Yankee Doodle Dandy, don't worry. Towards the end of the concert, I saw a request for, was it the Battle Hymn of the Republic? And I see a request for Dixie. It was a battle cry of freedom. I can play both. Let's do that. I was thinking I should play my little Dixie medley for you because these are, I don't know about patriotic, but very important American songs from the Civil War era and the 19th century. I do a medley. We'll do Dixie, Yankee Doodle, which goes all the way back to the Revolutionary War, I believe, and the battle cry of freedom. Kingdom's Coming in the Year of Jubilo, one of my favorite Civil War songs. And what else? I should probably play a little bit of the Stephen Foster music while I'm at it, My Old Kentucky Home, and a few other things, whatever comes to mind. So let's take care of the Civil War music now. Hopefully we never have another one. It's difficult to know with the unfortunate division in our country these days. But I love these old tunes, and I don't really play them the way they would have been done in the Civil War. I play them in ragtime. Here we go. Thank you very much, folks. A medley of tunes all from the 19th century. The last one, A Hot Time in the Old Town Tonight, was the hit of the Spanish-American War in 1898. I think I've said this before. I don't like war, but sometimes they produce good music because people are looking for an outlet for happiness and pleasure. Just reading the comments here. Boys That Wore the Green. I'm afraid I don't know that song. You stumped me on that one. Howdy Doody theme tune. No, don't know that either. Let me see. What else does this say? I think I should play a little bit of Scott Joplin tonight. Joplin wrote at least one piece, the non-parallel rag, which is a patriotic theme. I don't know that one. I think the best one to play is the Cascades, because it was written for the St. Louis World's Fair, a major event of the ragtime era. Not patriotic per se, but it was a major event in the United States at the turn of the century, and I finally committed this to memory. So here's one of Scott Joplin's more challenging rags, 1904, The Cascades. Thank you very much. The Cascades by the one and only Scott Joplin. Someone said it sounds like Maple Leaf Rag turned inside out. That's true. The A section is modeled after the beginning of Maple Leaf Rag as well. Joplin reused the same format several times. Oh, thank you for the tip in the chat. Dave Goodlaxon says, I love Civil War era music. Yes, so do I. For some reason, the Confederate music has always been my favorite over the the Union music. Well, I see a rag on my list that I'd like to play for you. Again, because I know John Philip Sousa's band featured this. You'll be able to hear the difference between a Tin Pan Alley rag like this and a classic rag by Joplin. This one's called Smoky Mokes, written by good old Abe Holzman about 1899 or 1900. Again, this was performed by John Philip Sousa's band, so I think it fits in. Not everything I play tonight is going to be strictly patriotic. I don't know quite enough of that music. However, let me do this for you. Smoky Mokes. Thank you very much, Smoky Mokes. That's also a cakewalk, technically. Play three cheers for the red, white, and blue. Well, I've already done that. It's the same tune as Stars and Stripes Forever. Yeah, I knew I'd get a lot of requests for that. I decided to put that one at the beginning of the concert and the George M. Cohan towards the end. Well, let me check Facebook real quick. Let's see if there's any requests there. Oh, my dear friend, Gwen Market is listening tonight from Shenandoah, Iowa. So nice to hear from you, Gwen. Any requests, folks? Anything besides the George M. Cohan songs? Because that's going to be at the end of the concert. If not, I'm going to keep moving on. Happy to play the requests. I don't know American Patrol, afraid not. And my repertoire of marches is limited, although I could do some more. I do know Under the Double Eagle, and I know, what else? Oh, Midnight Fire Alarm. I'll play that in a minute. I just pulled this song out. This is a really terrific tune, just which shows you the high level of music that was written in Tin Pan Alley in those days. From 1915, music by Archie Gottler, words by Edgar Leslie, and it's called America, I Love You. I first heard this song performed by the late Ian Whitcomb, and it's really terrific. And I want to read the words to you as well because it's very meaningful for this weekend. Amid fields of clover was just a little over 100 years ago. Try 250. A handful of strangers, they faced many dangers to make their country grow. It's now quite a nation of wondrous population and free from every king. It's your land and it's my land, a great do-or-die land, and that's just why I sing. America, I love you. You're like a sweetheart of mine, from ocean to ocean. For you, my devotion is touching each boundary line, just like a little baby climbing its mother's knee. America, I love you. And there's 100 million others like me, I think 300 now. Here's this great tune, America, I love you. America, I love you. Thank you, folks. I know I've played that on a virtual concert once or twice before. A few of the pieces I'm playing for you tonight I learned for the Red, White, and Blue concert at the last Durango Ragtime Festival as well. Oh my gosh, Battle of Manassas by Blind Tom Wiggins. I can't play it myself, but you know what? I've got a piano roll of it. I might just pull that out here in a minute. I think I know where it is. I might pull that out and play it for you here. Let me do it when I do my next little break at about 7 o'clock. Vera Lynn, Kelly, those are all British songs, you know. Not American, I suppose. Entry of the Gladiators is great. I don't have it committed to memory. Here's one that I played in the concert at the Durango Ragtime Festival. In fact, I've been playing it for years. This is called Ragtime Soldier Man by Irving Berlin. And of course, it was written about World War I, which was already raging overseas. I think this is appropriate. And I'll try and do some little drum effects here at the beginning of it. Here's Ragtime Soldier Man, I think from 1914 or thereabouts, by 15, by Irving Berlin. Fine Soldier Man. Thank you, folks. Well, I was playing at the Diamond Bell this week. I brushed up on a couple of songs, more from World War I, which I think are appropriate, that I hadn't played in a while. And these are great tunes. You all know the famous song, Alexander's Ragtime Band. There were several songs written in response to that. And this is one of them from 1917, I believe, called When Alexander Takes His Ragtime Band to France. And then a song that was introduced, a Broadway show by Burt Williams, called You'll Find Old Dixieland in France. A medley of these two now from World War I. Semi-patriotic music. France was our ally going way back to the Revolutionary War. So When Alexander Takes His Ragtime Band to France, followed by You'll Find Old Dixieland in France. Alexander Takes His Ragtime Band to France. Thank you, folks. Well, I told you not everything tonight's going to be patriotic specifically. I want to play a rag for you now just because I like it. A friend of mine inspired me to play this by the prolific Charles L. Johnson. Pretty little rag from 1909, which I have never played before. And it's called Applejack. Kansas City Ragtime. I guess we'll play this. I've been doing a lot of that lately in honor of Kansas City. and other great cities around the country. You know, they all had a different musical sound. Here is Applejack, Some Rag by Charles L. Johnson. Play a little bit slower, some medium tempo. It's not a barn burner. Applejack. Thank you very much, folks. Good old Midwestern ragtime by Charles L. Johnson. Well, I've got another tune on my list, request for music from World War I, so we're going to do it. This one is an early blues tune. You've got to have a little variety in the program, which came out of Houston, Texas, I believe, 1917. It's called the War Bride Blues, and I think this is appropriate. Music of World War I is very much of the ragtime era, of course, and much of the patriotic music of Cohan, which we'll get to in a bit. But for now, here's War Bride Blues, 1917. much, folks. That's War Bride Blues. I'll probably do some more music from World War I here momentarily, but let me take a little breather and remind you that I do accept virtual tips for these concerts. All you have to do is send in a tip on PayPal or Venmo, and every little bit helps me make a career out of this music. Again, I apologize for the streaming issues last night. I'm especially grateful for your gratuity on nights like that. I did manage to save about half of the concert, the last concert I did. It was about an hour's worth of music you can still listen to on my YouTube channel. And if you don't trust PayPal, there's a P.O. box on my website for checks as well. The PayPal and Venmo information is in the chat and the postings on all three websites. During the summertime, I do the virtual concerts every other week, as much as I can, and so there will be another one 2 weeks from tonight. I believe it's July 19th. Go ahead and put that on your calendars. Don't miss it. I know it's easier to remember when I do it every week, but please plan to join me again on July 19th. And yeah, of course I learned War Bride Blues from Johnny Maddox. Don't forget to hit the like button too and share the live stream, please. I want to try and expose more people to my concerts and this type of music. I'm going to go grab one or two things that I need for tonight's concert. I will be right back. Surprise! I thought it was a great idea. Someone in the chat suggested Battle of Manassas, which is a piece written about, I never did show you the cover to Applejack. Here's the original edition of it. Applejack Rag by Charles L. Johnson, 1909. Anyway, I always like to show the original sheet music covers. That's odd that that was published in Pennsylvania since he lived in Kansas City. Anyhow, I don't know the Battle of Manassas by heart. This features a number of American themes, like Yankee Doodle and Dixie. But I do have this remarkable piano roll of the piece. It's a giant piano roll. It's not hand played. It's just what you call an arranged piano roll. I'm going to play it for you now. I'm not sure how the tracking will be on this since I haven't tested it, but we'll try it. Blind Tom was a musical prodigy in the mid-19th century. I think he was born a slave, but he was almost what you would call a savant, and he was so talented that he did concert tours around the whole United States, not unlike Blind Boone. I'm not aware that Blind Tom ever really played ragtime. It was classical piano music or salon music of the 1800s. This is probably his most interesting piece of music because it includes sound effects from the battle scenes and so forth. So here we go with Battle of Manassas. Yes, I see requests there in the chat. I promise I will get to them, but I'm doing the Kohan at the end of the concert tonight. Here's this piano roll of Battle of Manassas. Don't remember if I've ever played this for you. Here we go. Ha! That's why you have to be. That's why you have to test the tracking on these things. Okay, take two. Manassas. That's not quite a piano roll. I trust you recognized many of the other familiar melodies that are included. Yeah, the Marseillaise is in there. I can't pronounce it. Sorry about that. Oh gosh, I see a request for a World War I song. Salvation, Lassie of Mine. No, I don't know it by heart. Of course, that was a famous song at the time. Oh, Penny Schwartz, so glad you're listening tonight. Lily Marlene, you know, it wouldn't hurt to do some World War II songs. Why don't I do that? I'll do a little medley of World War II songs. So we've been doing World War I already, and I got a request for Vera Lynn's music from Kelly. I'll play We'll Meet Again, and let's also do, what was it? I just lost it. Where'd it go? Oh, Lily Marlene, of course. Since Penny asked for that, let's try and do that. And we'll do You'll Never Know. It's been a long, long time. And maybe I'll Walk Alone. All big hits of World War II. And then end with Sentimental Journey. So see how many of these you know. Sentimental Journey. Thank you very much, folks. All songs of World War II. That was quite a lot of the World War II hits. Just decided to play you a medley of those tunes in honor of what's called the greatest generation to fight for America. And I see a request for Armed Forces medley. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do next. I have a couple of medleys to play for you, and I don't know how long that's going to take, so I'm going to go ahead and do it now. I have to get out the sheet music for these, believe it or not, because I don't play them very often, but and it'd be helpful if it was right side up. I'm going to do all of the armed services songs, and in this order: for the Coast Guard, Semper Paratus, always ready; anchors aweigh for the Navy; the Army Air Corps song, which many people call Off We Go Into the Wild Blue Yonder. And then what are the last two? The caissons go rolling along, and finally the Marines hymn. Okay. Thank you very much, folks. If we were in a real concert hall right now, I'd have all the veterans stand up. But I hope you enjoyed that anyway. Very recognizable tunes. I see a lot of veterans in the chat tonight. That doesn't surprise me. Let me check Facebook real quick. Well, thank goodness the stream worked and everything tonight. I feel like I play better when I don't have to worry about the technical side of things. It distracts me. And the piano's in tune, which is so great. Well, it's time for my George M. Cohan medley. Some of you regular listeners may have heard it before, but I thought I'd show you some of the original sheet music covers. Now, everyone calls that one famous tune Yankee Doodle Dandy, but that's not really the name of it. The name of the tune is the Yankee Doodle Boy. I'm the Yankee Doodle Boy. Here's the original edition from 1904. And it was in one of George M. Cohan's Broadway productions called Little Johnny Jones. There's a picture of him down there. So we'll start with the Yankee Doodle Boy. We'll play Mary's a Grand Old Name, Give My Regards to Broadway, Harrigan, and this tune, which I saw requested earlier, Over There, the hit of World War I, of course, probably the biggest hit of all the songs during World War I. And this is kind of neat because it's one of only very few sheet music covers painted by Norman Rockwell. So that's a Norman Rockwell cover there for Over There. The two less familiar tunes are the waltzes. Nellie Kelly, I Love You, 45 minutes from Broadway, and the whole thing ends with Your Grand Old Flag. So here we go. French. All music by the great Georgium Cohan, whose statue still stands today in Times Square. I saw one last request, which I was already planning to play. Let's do God Bless America on this 5th of July in honor of the 250th anniversary of the country. That'll only happen once in our lifetimes. I suppose if I'm lucky, how old am I? I might live to see the 300th anniversary. I don't know. I'm even going to play the original verse to the song, written by Irving Berlin, introduced by Kate Smith, Armistice Day, 1938. Here's God Bless America. God bless America, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this evening's virtual concert. I hope you've enjoyed it, especially since it's the 5th of July. Thanks for tuning in and listening to my humble piano playing as always. And I will see you all again 2 weeks from tonight. I'm not sure what the concert theme will be, but I'll let you know. And in the meantime, take care and good night for now, folks.